Are you a Muslim who skips breakfast and sometimes even skips lunch because you're so busy with work, prayer, family, whatever else you got going on that the only time you eat is at night, but then at night because you haven't eaten all day, you end up craving all these high calorie foods, you end up binge eating on them, and you end up crashing with your energy, and you just keep repeating that same cycle the next day because you don't have an appetite in the morning, you don't have time, and all that stuff? Well, this is actually a cycle that a lot of Muslim professionals, both men and women, find themselves in that begins to start sapping their energy levels. And this video is kind of almost a part two to my last video where I was talking about how to avoid the 2 p.m. crash, because in that video I talked a little bit more about the daily routine, but today I want to talk about the specifics in diet and a few small habits you can install today, even if you don't have an appetite in the morning, even if you're in the habit of skipping breakfast and following this whole sort of unhealthy pattern that ends up crashing your metabolism and everything else. So let's dive into it. Now, the first thing you need to understand is why is it that doing this whole intermittent fasting thing is causing your energy levels to crash later in the day and causing your metabolism to slow down. And this is some of the science stuff that I want to address in the last video I want to address today, so that by the end of this video, you know why it works, how it works, and what to do to fix it, and exactly what to eat. So the reason is that when you aren't eating all day, what ends up happening is your body kind of has to run on adrenaline and cortisol to produce energy. So your body is burning a little bit of fat, but your body's kind of conserving those energy stores because your body thinks it's in starvation mode, so it doesn't want to just burn away all those stores, which is why you might notice that no matter how low you go in calories, or no matter how hard you work out, it almost feels like your body's just holding on to fat, because your body actually is holding on to fat because I think it's going to be in starvation mode the next day. Now, I'm not saying intermittent fasting is bad. If you have a healthy fast metabolism, which is what we're going to talk about today and how to build that, then obviously intermittent fasting can be a powerful tool to actually lose fat and control your appetite and control your portions. However, if you're intermittent fasting right now and you find that you're binge eating at night, or you find that no matter how low you go in calories, you're just not losing weight and your body's holding on to those calories, you might be in a light form of starvation mode where you're actually training your body to store more fat. Or to put it bluntly, you're training your body to become fatter, right? And the reason that is that when you're starving all day, your body's like, we're starving, and your body craves those high calorie foods at night. And then when you eat those high calorie foods, your body's like, I need to store as much of this as fat as possible so that when I'm starving tomorrow, my body has energy stores so I don't die, because who knows how long I'll be starving for. Now, the worst part is when you add cardio on top of this, now your body has to conserve energy even more. And the more that your body conserves energy and goes into this state of almost contracting and conserving, what ends up happening is your body just holds onto that fat more and more, which is why you might notice that a lot of marathon runners have a little bit of flab versus sprinters who are always ripped. What you might have also noticed is that the person who, they don't eat all day and then they binge eat at night usually has a belly, versus the person who seems to eat whatever they want all day long. Some of them are overweight, but some of them are really ripped, and you're like, how is this even possible? How does your metabolism work like that? Well, in this video, you're going to learn how to get your metabolism as close to that as possible, even if you have a naturally slow metabolism. So let's dive into the strategies. If one of the biggest problems is that your body's in starvation mode right now, one of the solutions is to get your body out of starvation mode. So how do you do that? Especially if you don't have time, you don't have an appetite in the morning. Well, it's a very simple strategy, and the biggest and most important and first strategy you can implement right now, like literally today or tomorrow, whatever time of day you're watching this video, is to do a protein shake first thing in the morning. I typically would prefer whey protein. If you have digestive issues with whey protein, there are other proteins available, but I'm not a big fan of plant protein. So you could also just do a cup of bone broth, which is great because if you're watching this in the winter time, which is when this is being recorded, bone broth is amazing on a cold winter day, especially if it's snowing on the outside. I know a lot of my followers from the UK and from the East Coast US. So obviously it's snowing where you are right now, which means you have a nice warm cup of bone broth. It's going to feel so good. And bone broth is also good for your metabolism, your gut health, the lining of your stomach, your skin, hair, nails, youth, longevity, elasticity, and youth of your skin. There's just so many benefits, and it has really good protein, collagen protein, which is a great protein for getting your body into that anabolic state. Now, I'm going to explain what that is in a second and why it's important to get into an anabolic state. But the most important thing you need to understand is that by having that protein first thing in the day, your body's going to start being able to let go of some of that fat, in addition to improving your nutrient partitioning and getting into an anabolic state, as opposed to being in a catabolic state. And I'm going to explain all this stuff in a sec. So doing that protein shake first thing in the morning is like the first habit you can install. 1 to 2 scoops. Just make sure there's at least 20 to 30 grams of protein in it. Maximum 50. Not that it's like bad if you go above 50, but it's just like there's really no need for most people to go above 50 in that shake. That alone is going to start fixing your appetite, fixing your metabolism, and fixing things later in the day. Okay, and we're going to talk about how this relates to the 2 p.m. energy crash as well, because that's something I really wish I'd covered in the last video, but alhamdulillah, we're going to cover it today. So next up, what's next from there, right? And kind of what starts to happen in your body when you do that protein shake. So when you drink that protein shake, the first thing that happens is, number one, it's first thing in the morning. Your body hasn't had any nutrients all night. So if you've been lifting, this is going to enhance your recovery, because now your body's like, oh great, there's protein. I can start building muscle again. So it's going to put you in a positive state of protein synthesis. Now, when your body is in a positive state of protein synthesis, otherwise known as an anabolic state, so gaining muscle, what happens is that your nutrient partitioning improves, which means that when you eat food later in that day, more of that food is going to go towards muscle. It's being partitioned towards muscle, aka nutrient partitioning, and less of it's going to be partitioned to fat. And if less of the calories you're eating are going to fat, what does that mean? It means you're going to start to lose a little bit of fat, even if you haven't lowered your calories. Even if you've increased your calories, we notice a lot of people actually start losing fat in their first couple of weeks just by fixing this up. If there's somebody whose body was in starvation mode and their metabolism was slow, because your body starts being able to let go of that fat, and your body also starts being able to fix this nutrient partitioning, especially when you combine it with resistance training and stimulating muscle growth, which we'll also talk about in this video, and which we obviously talk about all the time because it's an important part of speeding up your metabolism, getting in shape, doing it in a time-efficient way, and getting results that you can keep for life. Because muscle tissue also just intrinsically burns calories even at rest. So it's like having a rental property that's paying you every single month. It's, all the muscle that you have in your body that you're maintaining, all you got to pay is to maintain it, just like how you pay to maintain the rental property, but it pays you every single month. And obviously managing the tenant, that's another discussion. If you're in real estate, you might be laughing at me right now, and comment down below with your real estate tips for the other Muslim brothers and sisters. But I digress. So that's the thing, is all you got to do is just keep maintaining that muscle. Once you've built some muscle, or keep building on it slowly, because building muscle is fun once you learn how to do it and you build that positive feedback loop and momentum. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep burning more and more calories, because again, muscle is a metabolically expensive tissue. It burns calories even when you're at rest, which is going to help you burn fat and then keep the fat off in the long run, versus taking the cardio approach. You're just going to look like a smaller version of the current physique you have, and your metabolism is just going to crash for a lot of the reasons we mentioned before. Now again, when your metabolism is healthy, cardio is a good tool to use, but I literally have my clients cut out cardio the first 4 to 6 weeks so that we can speed up their metabolism efficiently before we potentially incorporate it back in. You can still go for walks and stuff. It's pretty low impact, but like no running, no treadmill, no like stuff that's going to get your heart rate up in the beginning, if you're in this sort of reverse dieting phase that we use in the beginning, because we got to fix your metabolism first, and cardio is going to work counter to that. Okay. Now, again, a lot of little things to unpackage there. Now, the second thing that's going to happen when you drink that protein shake of the day is going to start to increase your appetite. Now, you might be saying, oh, no, this is bad because, if I have more of an appetite, I'm going to eat more and I'm going to get fat. And I understand that concern, but let me explain why you should put that concern to rest. So when you do that protein shake in the morning, you may not have an appetite for the next few days, but eventually your body's going to start to have an appetite, probably usually within like 2 to 3 hours of that. And you could also add like a piece of fruit to that protein shake at that point, which is also going to enhance the amount of appetite that you gain a couple hours later from that. And I can explain the science behind that, but don't worry about it. The other benefit of adding a piece of fruit is it's going to increase the amount that we're lowering your cortisol first thing in the morning, because your cortisol, which is a stress hormone that lowers your testosterone, lowers your metabolism, lowers your thyroid hormone, increases inflammation. When you have too much cortisol, which is what your body's running on when you're fasting all day, which is part of why you crash in the mid-evening, and part of why your body's just holding on to fat, especially in the belly, and it's gaining fat in the belly, is cortisol stimulates all of that. So one way you can target belly fat loss is by literally lowering your cortisol, increasing your testosterone levels, reducing your estrogen levels. And yes, that applies to women too, because when estrogen relative to progesterone is too high, what ends up happening is women get hormonal weight gain. And obviously when men's estrogen is too high, it also increases hormonal weight gain. So again, we want to lower cortisol, and doing the protein shake is going to blunt the cortisol response, which is another one of the many cascades of benefits that's going to happen when you start doing a protein shake in the morning, or bone broth in the morning if you don't digest protein well, you don't like protein, like whey protein. But obviously, so nutrient partitioning gets fixed, cortisol goes down, but the next thing is you're going to stimulate some appetite. And adding a piece of fruit will also help to stimulate a little bit more appetite, and it's also going to help to lower the cortisol further first thing in the morning once your body gets used to it. And the fruits that I like are banana, blueberries, pineapple. Those fruits tend to be pretty good as far as like not having inflammation, as far as giving you energy, as far as having antioxidants. So then pineapple has something called bromelain, which helps you digest protein better and also reduces joint inflammation. So there's a lot of little benefits and micronutrients and all these little things inside these foods. But again, I don't want to go too complex with that science, because all you really need to understand is how do you strategically and consistently time these easy new habits to install in your day in a way that actually makes sense, starts getting you results, improving your energy, helping you lose weight, fixing your metabolism, fixing your appetite. Okay, now the beautiful thing is once you front load those calories, you're going to have an appetite middle of the day. You don't have to eat anything huge middle of the day. You could just have, some chicken and rice, obviously make sure those quantities are appropriate for you and the macros that you need to hit, which obviously I can help you with. If you need help, just drop a comment and I can give you some specific help on this. But again, that's the second meal, is you want to be able to front load that, and then once you get used to front loading the protein, you can maybe add a piece of fruit, and once you get used to doing that little easy little breakfast, then you can start adding in a little bit of lunch. And this again is just going to help improve your appetite and obviously improve your metabolism. Now the question you might be asking me is, well, bro, like that doesn't really make sense. Why would I eat more if I'm trying to lose weight? And you're probably wondering yourself right now, if I do those 2 meals earlier in the day, wouldn't my total calories for the day be higher and therefore I'm going to gain fat? Well, there's 2 things you need to consider. Number 1, your metabolism is going to increase. And number 2, if you're eating earlier in the day, are you still going to get those massive food cravings for unhealthy food later in the night? You might, but the quantity of it that you're going to eat is a lot less, and your body's going to store less of that as fat because your nutrient partitioning improves and your body no longer thinks this is survival mode. Now, the beautiful thing is, let's say we add in a 3rd meal, maybe mid-evening. What that's going to do is now your body's going to have even less hunger cravings and bad food cravings later in the evening, and so we can actually start to spread out your calorie intake and start to get positive results. Now again, I'm not saying that intermittent fasting is bad, because once we fix your metabolism and you're burning at least 12 to 15 times your body weight in calories per day, which is what I would define as a healthy metabolism for most people, then we could potentially use intermittent fasting. Again, there's some people who it works well for, there's some people who it doesn't work well for, and it depends a lot on your stress, your cortisol, your personality type, a number of things that are related to stress. But again, that's something I'd rather talk about individually with you as opposed to like, generally speaking, but because it requires a specific approach. But for most people, typically people are going to do well with 3-4 meals a day. It's very practical and easy, even if you're really busy. There's only a couple cases where you use intermittent fasting, like if you're literally on calls 12 hours a day and you literally can't eat, or if you're a doctor and you're working 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts. There's different little specific strategies. But for most people, I like to do the more frequent meals because that's better for just your blood sugar consistency, for your hormones, for your anabolic state. And the final piece that we can add to this now is if you work out first thing in the morning, which I talked about in the previous video and I talked about in other videos, not only is that going to just help you get it out of the way and make sure that you're more consistent, because nothing can come up to stop you from doing it later if you just work out right after Fajr, but the other thing too is this is also going to make your body more anabolic. It's going to further enhance your nutrient partitioning. Again, when I say workout, what I mean is like either lifting weights or doing some sort of resistance training at home or even some body weight stuff to stimulate muscle growth, because again, that's going to fix your nutrient partitioning, and it's also going to build some positive habits for you. It's going to reduce your stress, it's going to increase your testosterone, it's going to lower your estrogen. For women, it's also going to have positive hormonal effects, and overall, it's just going to make your body more anabolic and going to help with your metabolism, because not only are you building muscle, which is the long-term reason to boost your metabolism, but in the short term is boosting your nutrient partitioning and improving that, so you gain less fat. So I know a lot of the science here might have been dense, and maybe if you're a very scientific person, you want to learn more. So if there's anything you want to learn more about, comment down below and I'll do a video on it. But I just want to cover those basic things today, because there's a lot of people, most Muslims I've been speaking to actually, who have hopped on consultations with me. Literally, this is like one of the most common issues I see, is a lot of us don't eat all day because we're busy with work or school or whatever it may be, and then we binge eat at night. Okay, and we don't want to do that. And I've been there too, because when, there's been multiple times in my business where I've gotten an inflow of new clients where I've been way more busy than I ever anticipated, and then I started throwing my habits out the window. But now I have very clear and specific boundaries around my time, just like how I've created clear and specific boundaries around my prayers to make sure I could be consistent with my meals. And actually, the beautiful thing is you can actually cluster habits together, which is something covered in Atomic Habits by James Clear, great book. And so what you could do is you could cluster the habit of eating with the habit of praying. And so obviously pray first and then eat, right? So they said eat, pray, love. No, you want to switch it to pray, eat, love. I'm joking, but we always prioritize prayer and Islam, alhamdulillah. And so again, these little strategies are going to make a huge difference. And because you're no longer getting those inconsistent blood sugar, but you're establishing consistency with your metabolism, with your blood sugar, with your food intake, all that stuff, what that's going to do is it's going to make your energy more consistent, especially if you're working out first thing in the morning and all the stuff I talked about in the previous video. And then obviously, not only is your energy going to improve, but your metabolism is going to improve, your appetite is going to improve, and therefore your body composition is going to improve. And you're going to be able to lose weight, and you're going to be able to eat more, and you're going to be able to live like a normal person, eat like a normal person. You're not going to get these insane, unhealthy food cravings at night anymore, and everything just improves. So inshallah, I hope that you got value from this video. I hope that this was educational. I gave you some steps, and just to recap, again, if you're starving yourself all day, your body goes into starvation mode, and you're training your body to gain fat and to store more fat and to hold on to more fat. So if you want to be able to let go of that fat, you need to be able to let go of that old routine and shift it to some new routines and habits. And the easiest first habit to install is protein shake in the morning. Once that becomes easy for you, do a protein shake and a piece of fruit, lowers your cortisol response, gets your body anabolic, and therefore boosts your metabolism, especially if you add in some weight training or some resistance training with body weight. Even 2 to 3 days a week, but I'll say start with 3 days a week, and then once you get momentum, you can baby step it to 4. Because obviously when you don't have momentum, you want to start as little as possible and then build your way up, just like with the shake, right? Once you start having appetite midday, or you start having the capacity to eat midday, you can throw in, some chicken and rice in good portions, or, moderate portions, of course, or whatever else you like. You could do fish and rice, you could do fish and sweet potato. I mean, there's so many different combinations, and again, I can help you individually customize that. I'll actually drop a consultation link below if you actually want to get my specific help on this, or if you'd rather just drop a comment with a question. Happy to do a video for you instead if you don't necessarily want to schedule a consultation right now. But anyways, that is it. So install those little habits, and it's going to make a big difference for your energy, for your weight loss, for your health, inshallah. And again, if you liked this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, share it with a friend who would benefit. Drop your questions for future videos. Inshallah, I hope this video found you well, and inshallah, I will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.